Golden State still looking to crack the seal. Payton right down the middle. He's fouled hard. And Payton's in pain. It was right at the end. Morant grabbed him initially, then Brooks got there late with the swipe, and he clubbed him on the side of the head.
Foul the floor has been upgraded to a flagrant foul penalty, too, for windup, impact, and follow-through to the head. While the player was prone to injury, Dillon Brooks will be ejected from the game. Gary Payton will shoot two,
So a
and they retain
flagrant
possession of the
two.
ball.
Brooks is.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it was dirty. And, you know, playoff basketball is it's supposed to be physical. You know, everybody's going to compete. Everybody's going to fight for everything. But there's a code in this league. There's a code that players follow where you never put a guy's season/career in jeopardy by taking somebody out in midair and clubbing him across the head and ultimately fracturing Gary's elbow. This is a guy who's been toiling the last 6 years trying to make it in this league. Finally found a home, just, you know, playing his butt off this year. In the playoffs, you know, this should be the time of his life. And the guy comes in and whacks him across the head in midair. He broke the code. Dillon Brooks broke the code. That's how I see it.
And Dillon Brooks, Steve Kerr called him dirty. I didn't agree with Steve Kerr calling him dirty. I think watching back the whole play, I just feel like it was unfortunate. Kind of like when Klay Thompson got injured in the finals when they lost to Toronto, where Danny Green kind of got under him when they're on the fast break layup, and Klay just landed wrong. Obviously, this was a little bit different. Brooks kind of went for the block. Unfortunately, I think Payne looked like he was more going for the dunk, which is why he fell the wrong, but you immediately see Brooks like also, because I truly, if you see, he was kind of going for the ball. It's just that Gary Payton the third, right? I always forget, was attached to the ball. And then you immediately see after, as soon as, Brooks gets his feet under him after jumping for that, he immediately goes and checks on him. So I really don't think it was dirty. I don't think it was intentional for him to hurt him, as opposed to that white guy in Milwaukee who's had those issues. So yeah, I did think a suspension was really necessary, but I just feel like that's just more the NBA. Like, oh, we don't want this series to get out of control. We don't want these guys to start, getting real dirty and such, quote unquote, physical. But what were your thoughts on those?
The Dillon Brooks one, I think, is a little more complicated because there's certain things that to me indicate that he didn't intend to do that, but also it was just so wild and reckless. And I believe he got suspended because Gary Payton III broke his elbow and he's out for 3 weeks. I don't think they were going to suspend him if that didn't happen. So I think there's sort of some repercussions based on the result that happened, whether it was intended or not. I feel like it wasn't fully intended because he didn't jump. I feel like he would have jumped into him if he intended to hurt him. Because like the other half of his body, like it's really his right arm that comes out. Like the rest of his body, it looked like he was almost maybe attempting to avoid him, like he didn't want to hurt him. But at the same time, I don't know. It feels weird because the left half of his body, I don't see any attention. That right arm, though, I don't know why he was swinging like that. It feels like it was wild. It was out of control. And also just like the context of what was happening. I think that Draymond sort of sent a message almost in the way that he reacted to the flagrant. It was a very physical, chippy game one. There was some trash talk and all this kind of stuff. And then that happens like in the first minute of game two. The timing of it makes me feel like maybe Dillon Brooks was trying to send a message back. I'm not going to say that he was, because once again, I don't know his intentions. It was just such a confusing play, but I wouldn't be shocked if maybe that was going through the Grizzlies' mind of like, okay, they want to play physical. We'll play physical. Like, let's set the tone early in our house and like, let's let them know how we're going to play. Once again, not saying that was his intention because I don't know it, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was maybe some talk of just being more physical in the game. And maybe it led to Dillon Brooks wanting to challenge that play. And then as he was doing it, realizing he was in a bad position and maybe pulling out, and it didn't work. I don't know. I don't agree with Steve Kerr. I don't think it was dirty. I don't think there's really, he talked about he broke the code being that you don't try to like purposely injure a person and potentially hurt their career, their season, whatever's going on. I don't think he was trying to do that. I do think he was trying to be physical and make a, pretty physical challenge, but I don't think he was intentionally trying to hurt the guy. So we'll see. I'm not going to argue if he should have been suspended or not, because like I said, it was an incredibly out of control play and the guy broke his arm. So
like I said, I just this last point, I truly think he was going for like you said, you mentioned I think he just kind of go for the block, but not foul him. He didn't want the and one to happen. So he's like, hopefully I can just get the block. That's what I don't know. But
it was just such a weird play because even like the whole thing of like, if I feel like he maybe didn't want to jump because he didn't want to like make it worse. Well, then I can also talk myself into, well, if he really wanted to block it, why didn't he jump? So I don't know. It was just such a weird play. Just happened so fast. It's hard to like when we slow it down.
Yes,
it's so hard to try and like interpret what's happening because that's not the speed that it happened in real life. So we don't know what happened in the split second in Dillon Brooks' mind. So yeah, I don't know. I'll leave that up to the league because I really have no clue.
Like I said, they spent him even then he's been struggling this series anyway, and they won game 2 without him because he was ejected after that too. I will say that's actually an interesting part is that I don't think the suspension was fully warranted because he basically got suspended for that game. Yeah.
He missed 47 of the 48 minutes.
Yeah, he only played
it feels like
2.5, 3 minutes.
I think it was literally a minute into the game. Like
I don't know. I thought I saw him and Gary Payton both. I saw in the box score. I went back
was about 3 minutes.
It was 3 minutes. Yeah.
Anyway, so I do think it was a little interesting that he basically missed all of game 2 and is now missing another game 4.